Hi, today I'm going to show you how to make this really easy lasagna recipe. It's been in my family since I was a child and it's very yummy. So you want to take a trip to the grocery store and make sure you have everything on hand. You're going to need about a pound of ground beef. This is a smaller package because I freeze my meat, so it's only about 12 ounces, which is fine for me. If you're going to make your own pasta sauce, then 2 cans of tomato sauce, a can of tomato paste. The seasoning I use is parsley flakes, garlic salt, Italian seasoning, salt and pepper. If you prefer to use just a bottle or can of your own favorite pasta sauce, that would eliminate all of this. Okay, the other things you're going to need are lasagna noodles and some cottage cheese. I use the small curd. Could probably actually get away with a smaller container, but this container is actually the 16 ounce. You're going to need 1 egg and at least 2 cups of mozzarella. Okay, so I have my water boiling. I'm going to go ahead and add my noodles. And before I add my noodles, I had to decide which pan I'm going to use. Now the smaller pan, that's about a 9 by 12, and this one is about a 10 by 14. So this one is definitely a bigger one. I'm going to go with the smaller one. I'm going to show you something though. Since I decided on the smaller one, I'm really only going to need about six noodles, because I would go ahead and put down 3, and then my next layer would be 3. But if I'm going with the bigger pan, then I'm going to need probably 4 across the bottom and an extra going across this way, so that would double with 10. I'm going to go ahead and just throw half the box in there, which is about 9. So I'll go ahead and get those boiling. Okay, so while my pasta's cooking, I'm going to keep an eye on that. I just want to cook it to tender. I don't want it really mushy. But I'm going to go ahead and start on my ground beef. I've got my ground beef in my pan. I'm going to go ahead and brown it and then drain it and get ready to make my meat sauce. Okay, so I've drained my ground beef. I'm going to go ahead and add my 2 cans of tomato sauce, and I'm going to add tomato paste. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and mix it up. And one of the things that I might find is if my sauce is too thick and I don't want it quite so thick, I might add a little bit of extra water. So go ahead and stir that up. And as that's warming up, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add my seasoning. And my seasoning, I really just normally sprinkle to my preference. But I would say with the Italian seasoning, probably about a half a teaspoon to a teaspoon of Italian seasoning. And then with the parsley flakes, I usually go, I would say probably about a tablespoon of parsley flakes. And then with the garlic salt, I would probably go about a 1/4 teaspoon of the garlic salt. And it's just going to vary, you know, as you taste it, to however you like your flavoring. So go ahead, your seasoning, go ahead and then some pepper and some salt. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and mix this all up, and like I said, if I find that it's too thick, I'll go ahead and add some water, and I'll just let it simmer for a little bit and check on my noodles. Okay, so my noodles are not ready yet, almost done. I went ahead and set my oven at 350, and then I went ahead and I put 2 cups of mozzarella cheese in, and I put the cottage cheese in and an egg. And then I've got it all mixed up, and now I'm just going to set this aside and wait for my noodles to be done. It'll be part of my mixture. Now, I didn't have to use the whole thing of cottage cheese, but since I had it, I went ahead, and if you prefer it to be cheesier, you could always add some extra cheese to that. Okay, so now I'm ready to start assembling my lasagna. So I'm going to start off, I've rinsed off my pasta noodles, drained them, rinsed them off, and now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start laying them in here. Now, see, this one's kind of torn, so I might choose not to use that since I had cooked some extra, and it goes clear across the pan. And I think since I actually cooked that 9, let's see what I'm going to need. Just laying it to cover the bottom. Okay, but actually that covers it pretty well. So that's all I'm going to need on the bottom, just those 3. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put some of the meat sauce, and I'm just spreading it all the way around. And just kind of think of it as you're going to divide whatever meat sauce you have into two, because you're going to put two layers. Okay, so that's my first layer of meat sauce, and now I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with the cottage cheese mixture. And you just kind of want to drop it in little spots because it doesn't really just spread. So just kind of do little drops. I mean, if you want, you could actually just kind of drop it with your fingers, which makes it a little bit easier, a little bit gooey, but a little bit easier to make sure that you get it all over the place. Okay, and again, you're just taking that mixture and putting half of that on there. Okay, so now that I have that layer of cheese on there, I'm going to go ahead and just repeat the process. I'm going to go ahead and put the 3 more noodles down, and I'm going to put the meat mixture and then the cottage cheese mixture on top of that. Okay, so I finished putting the extra layer of meat mixture and the cheese mixture, and it's ready to go ahead and go into the oven. Okay, so I've preheated the oven to 350. The lasagna is ready to go in. You could sprinkle some extra cheese on top if you want, but this is fine, or even some Parmesan cheese, but this is fine. It's ready to pop in the oven. And I'm going to go ahead and set my timer for an hour, and then I'll come back and check on it. Okay, so the lasagna has been in the oven for an hour. I'm going to go ahead and pull it out. It should be ready. All right, you can see that the cheese has kind of got a golden crusty look to it, so it's ready to go. Go ahead and pull that out. Now, the one thing that I wanted to mention was when you're doing your sauce, you might want to go ahead and just taste it, see that it's okay before you assemble it, because everybody's taste is kind of different. Or like I mentioned earlier, you can just use some of either your favorite pasta recipe sauce or one from a bottle or a can. So it looks like it's ready to go. I'm ready to go ahead and serve it up. I hope you enjoy this video. Thanks for watching.